everyone, in today's video, we're talking about the 5 things you have to do to register your business before you can get started with collecting payments and making all that money. I'm Scott Radigan. I'm a licensed attorney. I'm the founder of Functional Lawyer, and I advise functional and integrative medicine practitioners on their legal and their business practices so that they can build the practice of their dreams and avoid headaches down the road. So today, we're talking about the 5 things you need to do once you've decided, yes, you're ready to go into business. And this is before you really look at EMRs, before you look at any other tools in your tech stack. You want to get started with some of the formalities of business. That way, when you go to do your books at the end of the year, it's a lot cleaner. And you'll see what I mean in a few minutes. So number 1 is pick a name. Often, this very first thing is the hardest thing. People want to pick a name and stay with it, and that's reasonable, but it can be really tough to come up with a compelling name that you love and you're willing to live with. So a lot of people go down one of 2 decision trees, and that is, should I name it after myself? So Radigan Health or Radigan Wellness or Radigan Functional Medicine, or should I name it something else like Nutra Wellness or Nutra Health? Sounds like a sounds terrible, but something else like Optimum Wellness, Optimum Health, Origins, Foundations. These are all kind of trite right now. So if you're going to go down that route, doing a fictitious name, I suggest you start with Google and make sure that nobody else has it on Google. If no one else has it on Google, check Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Check your state's Divisional Corporations Registry, and make sure that nobody has anything there. And then a lot of people think that this is something that you need to check. You don't necessarily need to check the trademark service right away, but once you kind of narrow down your options, then it might be time to do a preliminary trademark check just to make sure that nobody else has that in your industry. So once you have your name ready, now you're ready to decide on an entity. So number 2 is choosing your entity. Now, entity means LLC versus C Corp versus Professional Corp or Professional LLC. Those are the 2 main ones that people choose. If you have a choice, it's a little bit easier. And unless you're going to go public someday, most people opt for LLCs. They're a little bit more flexible in how you run that business. C Corps have some corporate formalities that you have to adhere to. And so for the vast majority of people, LLC or professional LLC, depending on your state, is usually the way to go. So once you've decided on your entity, whatever works for you, now you go to your Secretary of State's website, the Division of Corporations, and you register your entity with that state. So that normally costs about $100 to $400 depending on your state, and you fill out the application and boom, your business is registered to do business in your state. You'll need to find a registered agent, which is just a fancy way to say a human being that's present at some location that you designate to accept formal service of process, which is a fancy lawyerly way of saying, how can we get in touch with a human being if someone needs to give you official notices like subpoenas or lawsuits, heaven forbid, but you have to register that with the state. Otherwise, everything else is just your name, your address, the owners of the company, and then that's it. So you've registered with the state. You'll receive, sometimes you can pay more for a certificate of authenticity, or it may have a different name in your state, but just a certificate of good standing. And your bank account, your bank may require that. So check with your bank before you register, and then you can pay for the extra if you need to. But once you've registered with the state, then you can go to the IRS, number 4, and get your employer identification number. That's EIN. It's free. You just register with irs.gov, search for EIN, and they will send you a letter. And hold on to that letter because they don't send you more. They'll send you a letter with your EIN. That EIN is basically your social security number for your business. It's your tax identification number for the business, even if you don't employ anybody yet. So it's a little bit of a misnomer for very small businesses with no employees, but that's the name of it, and that is your social security number for your business. So otherwise called tax identification number, sometimes called TIN. Most of the time it's called EIN. whatever you call it, you need it to open a bank account. So as I mentioned before, number 5 is starting your bank account. So when you start a business, it's really, really, really important to keep your finances separate and keep the books for the business very separate from the financials, the money that you have as an individual. Otherwise, a court could reach through and do away with the limitation of liability. That is the whole reason you registered for an entity in the first place. Another way of saying that is entities, whether they're LLCs or C corporations, with some exceptions, but most entities will allow you to reduce your personal liability so that if there's any debts or creditors that are coming after the business, they will never be able to come after your personal assets like your car or your house, with some exceptions. One big exception is if you commingle your funds. So on day 1 of your business, go set up your bank account and make sure that everything has a bright line down the middle. If it's a business expense, pay for it with your business check, debit card, credit card. If it's a personal expense, pay for it with your personal funds over there, and nary cross the line, right? Nary cross, or ne'er do well. Never the two shall meet, right? So that's very important. So to recap, you get your business name, you register it with your state. Then you've picked an entity, then you register with the state. Then you go to the IRS to get your EIN, and then you set up your bank account. One bonus tip here, number 6, is that when you're at the IRS website registering for your EIN, if you're choosing to use an S Corp tax classification, that's a good time to do it on day 1. I won't get into all the details in this video. It's a subject of a whole nother video, which I'll link to below. But S Corp status, it's a good idea to do it from day 1 if that's something that you're going to do. Talk to your accountant, talk to your financial team about that. For most, it is what most people choose, but it may not be right for you. So check with your financial team on the S Corp status. That's it for today. If you have questions, let me know in the comments below. And also you can run over to functionallawyer.com. I also offer legal health assessments. So if you have questions or you just want to talk to a human being about it, and you're too confused, we offer 45-minute appointments. They're very reasonably priced. We'll go through your whole situation and point out where you need some things, or where you might be, I might say, that's great. You're doing a great job. Keep going. So until next time, consider subscribing to this channel, and we'll see you in the next video.